Hello again, and welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Rural Report and another episode in the podcast, The Ugly Truth About SHTF. Now, it is yours truly, your Rural 2IC, and I am joined by my co host, none other than Cluck Norris, the Tactical Squish Chicken. Now, again, yes, you can't see me, and I know that you guys usually like to see my pretty handsome face, but I'm actually making this video back to back from the one from last week. So that's why you can't see me just sitting here, and I hate sitting. I'm a person that likes to be active and moving and doing something. And when a headache takes, me and just kind of puts me on my back, I don't like the feeling of being useless. It's time wasted, and it bothers me. I want to be active. I want to be doing something that makes progress. And just sitting here, it kind of crushes my soul. So for me, I can just lay here in the dark, close my eyes, and talk and get something productive done. So hopefully, you guys don't mind. Hopefully, you guys will forgive me for this, but we're just going to continue on. So last week, we talked about characteristics and things like that on what to look for. And then now we're going to touch on four areas that we need to focus and train on with ourselves, with our family, and with our group, mag, tribe, whatever it is you call it. And so those four is going to be physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. We're going to focus in on those four, and we're going to see where it all takes us. Now, the first one is physical, and that is the one that just about everybody puts the most focus in on. And it is important, right? I don't go through and discourage that by any way, shape, or form. Uh, Going through and working on yourself to getting into a healthier lifestyle. So, A, you live longer and you can function and do things easier, but to strength train, right? Something to where we can get very comfortable in our lives, right? Yeah, we got a few extra pounds, but I can walk around the store all day and not get out of breath, so I'm good, right? Okay, well, what happens when something comes and you need to throw on that 30-pound, 40-pound, 60-pound bug out bag you have? Can you walk a couple miles with that? Right? There's a lot of people that don't train in that aspect in that manner, and so when the time comes, you just have the assumption of, well, I can walk around because my job makes me walk from here to there, and so normally I walk 3, 4, 5 miles a day, and so when SHTF comes, I can do it. All right, but can you do it with your bag? Can you do it with being in a high stressed environment? Can you do it in the rain and the snow at nighttime when you're exhausted, when you're hungry, when you're scared, right? It's putting ourselves into different environments, and there's a lot of people that they just think, well, I already kind of do it, so it's good enough. All right, I mean, if that's you, then you do you. I'm not happy with that. So for me, if I'm working on me and it's physical time, I'm going to modify my diet, right? I want to make sure that I can eat the food that is going to give me the best uh, for my future. I want to live the longest that I can because there is people that I love and care about. And if I'm eating crap and eating junk, then I'm not only robbing myself because I will die sooner. I'm not only robbing myself of time and memories and things like that I spend with them, but more than likely, if they're that important to me, then I'm that important to them, and I'm robbing them of it too. And to say that you love your spouse, to love your kids, to love your boyfriend or girlfriend, to love your grandkids, and to not strive and make a conscious effort to better yourselves to where you're okay with stealing something from them, right? They love you. They want to spend time with you. They want to go through and create those memories and have that time and to have those conversations and things like that. But people are more concerned about, eating that next Twinkie or ho ho that it just becomes constant, and now you get clogged arteries, now you get even more extra pounds, and now you become less active and you don't feel as good, and maybe you get, a little loss of sleep, and you just get into a unhealthy lifestyle. So be conscious about doing things for yourself. Do whatever it is that you feel comfortable with that is going to improve you physically, right? Don't worry about anybody else. If you are doing something actively to better yourself physically, if somebody's making fun of it, you don't need them in your life, right? You are actively trying to make a better you. You should have a support. And if they don't support it, then you probably need to reevaluate your relationship with them. And so there's a lot of people that will shy away from things. For me, when I decided to change me physically, I went through and I started to look into yoga. Now, not really your traditional yoga, but for me, stretching seemed like a great idea. I'm getting into my 40s now, right? I'm 41 years old. And so to stretch is a good thing. And doing it over these past almost 2 months now, I feel better, right? Things don't pop and crack as they used to. I have more range of motion. And, there's going to be a bunch of people out there. Well, I'm a big, strong dude. I'm not doing silly girl yoga. Well, you keep thinking that because for me, at least with me, it works. And so doing some stretching here and there, I feel better and I'm improving myself. And so guess what? I am going to continue to do it, but I also do cardio and I also do weight training, and I do things to up my endurance level and things like that. And so, I constantly try to better myself. So it's one of the things that hopefully maybe to inspire you to do some of the stuff like that. And so you can take when you work on physical for yourself that you can make improvements as you see fit. So the next one is going to be doing physical as a group. And so this is that training that a lot of people tend to kind of focus on and sometimes over focus on. And they think it's all tactical training. And if that is important, and I agree, right? Anybody who physically can, they should have some level of being able to fire a firearm and be comfortable with it. They should be having, some sort of training to where they can have a little bit of cardio, right? Just because maybe they're not going to be one that grabs the battle rifle and runs off to the front lines. Maybe they need to get to safety. Maybe they need to grab the kids. Maybe they need to go help somebody else, right? And so to have that little bit of endurance, to have that little bit of strength to go and grab a child, right? Can you go pick up a 50-pound child and pick them up and carry them to safety? What happens if it is one of the people fall, right? They fall down because they're trying to run from the situation and they break an ankle. Can you physically help that person? Think about everybody that's in your family, everybody that is in your mag or whatever, each and every one of them. And I don't care if you are, a lady or a smaller guy or whatever else, throw out the excuses. How would you help them? If it is life and death, how would you physically help them? And it's something that we need to think about because, and again, this is the ugly truth about SHTF. So we need to think about this stuff. And I know some of this is going to be uncomfortable to talk about. And, it's going to be uncomfortable to kind of think about and kind of focus in on. But that's why we're doing this stuff. So we need to train as a group. And everybody usually runs around with a little, rifle or whatever, and they simulate wartime stuff, and that's great. But how many people simulate carrying water, right? Where's your local water source? Can you get 2 buckets and walk from your bug out location or your house or whatever, go fill 2 buckets up and carry them all the way back? Can you do that? Because if that's your plan, that's great. There's your water source. But are you physically able to do it? Right? If your plan is that I'm going to grow a bunch of my food, great. Can you physically maintain it all day, every day, from putting the seed in the ground all the way to harvest time, right? There's a bunch of physical that people just make the assumptions, I can do it. Can you prove it to yourself today, right now? Can you prove it? Because if you can't, there's your homework assignment. Go train and continue to train. Just because you did it last year doesn't mean you can do it this year, right? We're all growing older every second. We're a second older and we're not getting that second back. So we always got to make sure that we reevaluate ourselves, make sure that, things haven't changed with our bodies and our strength and, all sorts of, aspects of doing the thing physically. So moving on, let's talk about mentally, right? So I have been pushing very, very hard on the mental aspect because I don't care what brand of gun you have and how great of a shot you are. I don't care how many years you went to medical school and all the different things that's hanging on your wall of how many surgeries and life-saving things that you have done. I don't care about how big your garden is and that you've won all these prizes for the most delicious food and all this other stuff. All that stuff is great and wonderful, but if you're not right in the head, it means nothing to me, right? You can be the absolute greatest at what it is you do and what your job is in the group, but when crap goes sideways and you freak, you freeze up, I can't depend on that. I need somebody that is mentally prepared for SHTF. I need somebody that is ready to do the job. And so I like to train mentally with people, because it's going to tell me that when we get in that high stress environment, can they function, right? And I get it, some people, they can do it and do it and do it until one day they can't. And then that's a different level of aspect that comes into leadership. Can I snap them out of it? Hey, come back here, right? Come, or let's focus on the task at hand. Sometimes you can do that. Sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes people just snap. The stress just gets too much and they snap. And you got to know how to deal with that too. The mental aspect is one of the ones that I think a lot of people overlook, right? I can do it. I've been in stress. I've had anxiety. I can handle it really well. Well, we'll find out then, right? So make sure that you do everything that you can. And again, you're going to work on it by yourself. So work on your mental. So do the things to where you read as much. You go through and you try and do what you can to learn and to always be a lifelong student. So that way, as you go through, maybe you can help somebody. Hey, I read that somewhere, or hey, I watched this. Let's try it this way. Maybe you have a way that you can be the different perspective, right? You got two or three people all working on a problem and they can't quite figure it out. Maybe you can come by and put your 2 cents in. And that's where the mental aspect comes through with it, right? We're trying to exercise our brain, and it's to make sure that we are being the best of who we can be mentally for ourselves, our family, and our group or our mag. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to improve your memory, right? Or to go through and exercise your brain to it gets you into a different thinking process. When we go through and we are faced with a task, what is your problem solving method, right? How do you go through and you've recognized, hey, here's an issue. Okay, but what's next, right? How do we do a thought process? How do we do decision making? How do we come up with the best solution that we possibly can? Or is it knee jerk reaction? Do we go by instinct, right? All of a sudden, we have a leak in the well. Do you just go, oh, put a cork in it, we're done, right? Problem solved, I'm the greatest. Or do you go through a process? Now, sometimes it does, right? Sometimes it is that knee jerk reaction. We've got to solve the problem now. Slap a band-aid on that thing and let's temporarily get this thing going so it doesn't get worse. And then it buys us time so that way we can make a better assessment and do a better thought process and fix this in a more permanent manner. Then we need to group train mentally, right? And when we group train mentally, it allows everybody to go through and we can gauge each other, right? We can be able to vet one another. We can be able to see where each other is, and sometimes people can handle a whole bunch of stress, but maybe they can't handle death very well, or they can't handle the stress of blood or injury, or the maybe they can handle most of everything, but they can't handle a certain thing. Is it an area that we can work on together, right? Can you ask for help? This is an area I'm weak in. Help me out. And that's a huge part when it comes to the mentality of an individual, to have that humbling aspect to yourself, to go, I can look at myself and I can admit that I'm wrong. I can look at myself and admit I am weak in this area. And I'm humble enough to come and ask for help. Please help me understand this. Please teach me and train me in this. I want to do better. That speaks volumes to me. And so we want to work on the mental aspects, so that way when we are faced, because we're going to use our brain each and every day, or at least I hope you do, right? But we want to make sure that, as we go through and we are faced with all this stuff, that we put ourselves in the best possible position, but also the people that we love and care about, and the people that's in our group. We want to do what we can so that way they are in the best possible position as we go forward. So continue to train with yourself, continue to train with your family and your groups. Do little exercises, do what ifs, do scenarios, throw each other problems. How do you solve it? Go to a flea market or yard sale, buy something broken, right? Take it apart. How do I fix this? How do I solve this? Right? Put the power tools down and go, all right, well, how would I do this without power tools? Turn all the electricity off. How would I do this? Right? Present yourself with problems and then solve it. Create your own scenarios and actually do it, right? You don't have to just sit on the couch and just go, well, this thing's broken. How would I fix it? Well, I'd grab a screwdriver and a hammer and some duct tape and blah, there it is. I mean, you can do that, yeah. Or you can actually get out there and do it. As you're driving by and you look over and you see some broken thing and the trash on the corner, pick it up, take it home. Guess what? It's free. You're not spending any money. Throw it in the trunk, take it home, wait for a day where you got a little bit of time, and go try and solve it. If you don't solve it, what are you out, right? You had some learning experience. You didn't spend really any money, and you was active, and you're working your brain. It's a win-win-win. There's a lot of things that we can do out there if we're just creative enough, and we can challenge ourselves. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. All right, so the next one we're going to touch on is spiritually. And for any of you that are not believing in anything spiritually, feel free to fast forward if you want or whatnot, because we still have one more that we're going to talk about. But I still think that you can believe in whatever you want. I'm not here to change your mind and preach to you and say you must believe exactly how I believe. There's a freedom of religion for a reason, right? Because deep down for me, I have my way. I have my belief system, and it's for me. And the thing for me is, I can provide enough proof and evidence for myself. But with just about any religion there is, and pretty much I will say all religions, there is no 100% concrete proof, because if there was, we would all be in one religion. Therefore, I can be wrong, right? I do religion A, and it might be religion B that's correct, and I'm running my life incorrectly, and I'm not going to be the one that leads people down the wrong road. Religion is personable. You need to make that choice, but spirituality, whether you believe in God or whatever it is, maybe you believe in Mother Nature, maybe you believe in some sort of cosmic universal power, whatever it is, spirituality I believe is important, right? Because uh, for the most part, most people agree that we have a soul, and you need to feed the soul. The soul is extremely important. We go through and we make most of our decisions with our brain, right? But there is instances where the heart needs to make the choice. The soul needs to make the choice, right? Like especially when you're talking about going through and choosing a apocalyptic partner. When you're talking about a soulmate, that the soul needs to make the choice on that, right? The heart needs to make the choice on that. There needs to be that connection. Just because they're handsome or they're cute, well, that all fades, right? Looks fade. Well, they have a lot of money, they'll take care of me. Okay, until there's an accident or whatever and they lose their job or the business closed down. Money goes away, right? If you can't sit down and have a conversation, if you can't sit down and enjoy common things, if you don't have a base foundation and things like that, then you don't have that soul connection. And you can do it, you can be stubborn and you can make it work, but you ain't gonna be happy, right? You ever walk down the street and you look at some young couple, they're all holding hands and doing things. You're like, oh, look at them. They make a cute couple. All right. Yeah, they do. They make a really cute couple, but will they last? Are they soulmates? Or they just make the decision out of convenience or out of looks or material? They have a nice car, a nice job, a nice house. Or is it deeper than that, right? Is there a better understanding in that? Because for me, I want to walk hand in hand with my apocalyptic partner, and I want somebody to go, they look really happy, right? I mean, at least that's the way I do it. And so for me, spirituality strengthens the soul. So when that moment comes along, my soul is strong. And when that connection comes, it's as a solid connection. And for me to have faith in myself, faith that there's a higher power, faith gives me strength, it gives me courage, right? There's a lot that's going to go on during SHTF, and to have faith and to have courage, I think that's going to be very, very important, right? You can have an extremely scary situation, and I can use faith to give me the courage to push forward. And if you don't have the spirituality, if your soul's not strong, I don't know if you're going to find the courage, right? You can have a courageous person, but a strong enough fear, they may start hesitating, and that can be deadly. So that's why I put it on the list, and that's why I believe that spirituality is something that is very, very important. So, all right, let's touch on the last one and let's round this one out. I know I went a little long with the last one, so let's see if I can try and keep this one to 30 minutes or less, right? So the last one is emotional, and this is going to be very difficult. And then hopefully you guys will do kind of follow along on this one. If you've made it this far, you rock. This is a long form video content, and long form's not for everybody. And now we're going to start getting into a touchy subject, right? Emotions. So if you go by these societal standards, women are the emotional ones. Okay. I mean, that's true. Women do have stronger emotions usually than men. But the thing is women sometimes will make decisions on emotions, right? They do various things to where uh, a lot of women, they want guy friends because the women in their lives do too many things based on emotion, or they're too dramatic, they're too over the top with their emotions, right? And it can be a lot to deal with. But on the other sense, when you have men showing emotion as weakness, right? Well, I'm not crying, that's for babies, right? Or I'm not doing this because, that's for girls. No, we all have emotions. Sorry to tell you that. I'm sorry to break the news. We're all human. We're all having the emotion of happy, of sad, of anger, of frustration. We all have all these different emotions, right? We can be angry, we can be excited, we can be confused, we can be anxious. It's all common. We all experience it. Now, sometimes it hits people harder than others. Sometimes people can have emotions that just kind of take over them. It kind of just shoots over the top. Some people can control their emotions a lot better than others. And that's where emotional training comes in, right? Can we conduct ourselves? When we have an experience, what does our emotions do? If we have a death in the family, right? Does our emotions stop us? Does we just absolutely break down? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong or right, but you're talking about SHTF. So if there is a high stressed environment where everything is on the line, some unfortunate accident happens, can we still depend on each other, right? Or is somebody going to break down? Because your mag, your family, your group, when you're talking about you are fully in a like full on survival mode, it takes everybody, every single person. And when something happens, if somebody does not have control over their emotions, and I know for a lot it's easier said than done, but if they don't have control over their emotions, it can be deadly for everybody. And so that's why emotional training is important, at least in my opinion, right? We all seek out happiness. We all seek out pleasure. Why? Because it feels good. We enjoy being happy. We enjoy doing things that, give us pleasure and give us excitement and things like that. That's why there's amusement parks, and that's why there's various things that help us take the stress and anxiety and things down. And so it's why there's money to be made. That's why it's a lot of that stuff is big business. We don't enjoy being angry. We don't enjoy being frustrated. And what a lot of people do is they don't understand their emotions, and so they try and mask them. They run away from them. They stick their head in the sand. They don't actually face what it is. When something makes you angry, what do we do about it? Right? Do you punch something? Do you put holes in the wall? Do you go punch somebody else? Do you start screaming at somebody that doesn't deserve it? Can you control your emotions? When you get frustrated, right? You're working on something and it's just not going the way that it's planned. What do? Right? Do you just take the tool that's in your hand and chuck it across the lawn? Do you take the tool and snap it over your leg? Right? We can do a lot of harm out of frustration. Can you control that? Do we have it on the opposite end? Are we super excited that we just run into danger, not realizing that it's dangerous? Are we so excited that we're ignoring red flags? There's a lot about controlling your emotions, and without emotional training, it can be bad for everybody. And it doesn't matter, man or woman. We have to understand that we have emotions, and we have to understand that it's okay to show those. Want to normalize talking to somebody. Find somebody you can confide in. We are social creatures for a reason. Find somebody that you 100% trust, that when life gets too heavy, you can talk to them. You can vent it out. You can ask for advice. You can I just need to get something off my chest. I don't want anything, right? To have that person, and you can have more than one, but to have that person, it's a huge help, right? It helps you mentally, and stress can start getting you physically, and all this can even get into you spiritually. A lot of this all goes hand in hand, and that's why we need to make sure that we're working on all four of these. And again, this is my opinion. You take it for what it is and use it how you want to. But to have it to where we check on each other. We all know life sucks. We all have our demons, our problems. We all have different things that we're stressed about on the daily. And to understand that we have problems, you have problems. And so we have to understand that we pick the right people. You don't want to freak out and panic and pick somebody and confide in them, and you confided in the wrong person, and it compounds and makes things worse. You can tell somebody, something that is very personal, and if you tell the wrong person, it goes public, right? We have to be able to trust people. We have to be able that if we are the one that is trusted, Somebody confides in you, keep that secret. Take that thing to the grave. We also need to be able to listen, make time for people. If they are trusting you this much to come confide in you, or they're trusting you this much to come ask for your advice, you need to make time. Take the distractions out, give them the 5, 10, 15 minutes that they're asking for. And if you go, I'm too busy, or I'm not in the mood, or this, that, or whatever, then you're the wrong person, right? If somebody comes through and they are a part of your family, your inner circle, your mag, whatever, you need to be able to take 15 minutes out of the 24 hours of the day and give that to them. Otherwise, for me, if I come to you with something and you can't make time for me, you probably will not be in my inner circle ever again. It's that simple, right? Emotions is something very important that people hide from, that they want to lie to themselves about, that people will fall into depression and they put up a front and they end up doing self-harm or even worse. And you can have it to where, well, it's just a silly emotion, I'm a big strong man and it's not going to affect me. You know how many men commit suicide, right? It's not something to take for granted. It's not something that you can go, I've got complete control. People can go on an emotional downward spiral, and it's not a fun thing. I've seen it happen over and over again. And, sometimes they put up a great front. I thought everything was fine. And the next thing you know, I get that phone call at 2 a.m. that everything was not fine. Check on your people. Call them, text them, go see them, give them a hug, tell them you love them. We're not promised tomorrow. And that little bit, right? They may not have anybody that cares about them truly. People say they do, but you take 5 minutes out of your day and emotionally check on somebody. You may be all they have. You may be the one that is keeping them going. Take that seriously. Check on your people. Don't take the BS, I'm fine, and just take it as golden. Now, you need to trust them, right? If they're in your inner circle, you need to have that trust. Sometimes when people say everything's okay, even though you go, I don't know, sometimes we have to just trust them. Everything is okay. Come back in a couple days, come back tomorrow, come back next week. Everything's still good, right? Maybe they're just not ready yet. But it is a lifelong commitment with the people that you love and care about in your inner circle to make sure they are emotionally good. Make sure you are emotionally good, but make sure they are emotionally good. So we're going to leave it at that. There's my 4. Those are the things that I work on for myself. Those are the things I work on as a family. Those are the things that I push for training in a group and whatnot. Those are the 4 big key aspects for me. That is my opinion. That's what I do. And you take it for what it is that you can do, and see if it helps you guys. So, with that, I hope that you guys have a great day, an amazing day, a blessed day. Stay tuned because there's more information to come. And with that, remain united because we're all prepping in this together.